Sponsored by Model Makers Workshop. Need parts for your next model project? Model Makers Workshop has you covered with the best aftermarket accessories around. And by Gallery, your one-stop shopping for all your airbrush needs. Hello everybody, how you doing tonight? So it's Friday Night Live with Ken, but just different format today. just a bench session here, and I really like these bench sessions because I get to chat with you guys a lot more than I do on the live show where I have a guest on and stuff. So anyways, I'm working on the Menace Falcon here. So you're going to watch me either do something really cool or just mess it up royally because I'm cutting the front to flip here. All right, so what do we got here? I don't know if you guys saw my video, but I did an update this morning. And since then, I've covered quite a bit. So we have a hood scoop. It's not the same hood scoop that we see in the rendering. Let me show the rendering real quick. So this here was AI rendering just based on my description, so it came up with that hood scoop. Well, I didn't have anything like that. And then come to the other one here. I really didn't have anything like that, and I went through a whole bunch, and went for this. It's kind of square, it's kind of boxy. And I actually designed it where, I got that engine fitting so good that I don't even need a hood scoop. But I think it, if it's going to be a Pro Street with a flip top and try to look badass, I think it's going to need a hood scoop. So, how you all doing? I see Jim, JD, Joe's New Rush Shop, Wallace, Ron, Kevin. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate you joining in. So yeah, we're just messing around here, and I had success last night because I've solved my hinge. How was I going to make this flip? So this is the chassis that goes into the body. There's your front bumper, and it hinges. So when that's attached to the front nose and glued in, after everything's been painted and whatnot, that's the mechanism that flips. And all it is some tubing. Oops, lost my motor. Hold on. I forgot it's just mocked up. Nothing's glued. Hang on. Let me just get that engine out of there so I can show you. Okay, so I had to extend the frame rails, those white pieces. I made new cross members for the engine because I had to cut all that away to make things fit. I did put shock towers in from the Nova kit and cut out the aprons. This is all going to be on next Friday's episode, but you guys get the special preview. I'm still going to do some more work on that to make a framework around that out of rod. Okay, so anyways, I glued a brass tube into the back of the bumper and have a brass wire running in there, so it's a hinge. And it was so simple that I just have drilled ends on here. And it pivots. And I did all this before I started cutting. So when it's all back in place, the hood should line up really nice. And as far as the mechanism to pull it away from the body a little bit, being that this is just on rods that slides in and out, like if I want to show this, I just pull it back a little bit, tilt it down. and then I can push it back or whatever. So I thought it was pretty ingenious. I've never done this before. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Yeah, I win a couple. I usually lose quite a few of my battles, but I won that one. So anyways, then I determined how I'm going to cut this. So what you see in front of the blue tape here is going to be what you see flip top. So the rocker and a little higher is going to remain with the body. I'm cutting right at the door up until this point, and then I'm cutting forward to the hood. And trust me, you know how they say measure twice, cut once? I'm hoping nothing goes wrong here, but I measured like 62 times before I cut. I kept thinking to myself, okay, think about the scenarios. What scenarios? What can happen? You know, what are you going to run into that's a problem? And I kind of put the cart before the horse here, but I did some bare metal foil under the paint. I'm going to have to do that again because, you know, I should have known better. It's going to be a lot of handling. But like here, I've got my chrome done already before the paint so that I can re-expose that later. And where is it? Here's this better side of it. The Ranchero emblem and the Ford letters on the hood. So the hood has been glued on. The only mistake I made is I glued the back of it, which is exactly where it's going to cut. So now I have to scribe and cut that open too. So anyways, got something else too. On the tonneau cover, not the tonneau cover, but this is that cover that I manufactured for my tubs in the back as a cover, and this was all painted in stainless. I decided to sand it down a little bit smoother, and then I knew it needed something, so I'm gonna have my fuel tank sitting up front here right behind the cab, and that's gonna be a chrome fuel tank. And of course these lines won't be here, this will all be gone, but I raided my wife's sewing kit and I had to like hand pick pins, but to me they kind of look like carriage bolts. So when this is all repainted and whatnot, I can put these pins in place and glue them in, and then of course I have to get rid of this side here. So as I put each one in, I'll glue and clip them. So I thought that might be pretty cool looking. We'll see. Could be a major fail. What's funny though is it opened a whole rabbit hole for me because first of all, the first pin I picked had a nice big shiny dome to it, and I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. So I drilled my 42 holes in this, and then I started to like test fit some pins in there, and then I found that those shiny, beautiful domed ones, Debbie only had a few in her box. It's like, so then I had to grade them, so I went through a bunch of pins and trying to pick each pin up and inspect them and stuff. So I kind of sorted them, so I have kind of a similar appearing sizes and stuff. So I have a whole bunch stashed. So, well, thanks, guys. Yeah, it's just one of those silly little ideas that came to me. I don't know if it's ever been done before, but I'm sure it probably has. I'm sure there's other ways to do it. All right, so let me get that put to the side. All right, so I'm carving. 24 people in the room. Hey, Justin, how you doing? Chad, how you doing? Alrighty, so let me get back to cutting here. So what I've been doing is I taped an idea, you know, because the easiest thing for me to groove right now is the actual door gap, but that's only for just this little run here. Just that little run there is the only place where there's a groove. So there was no groove here, so I had to carefully start one. And what I did is I just used this little razor knife here along my tape and just very lightly scribed a whole bunch of times, very lightly, just to get a groove started. And same here. Ideally, I would have liked to have followed the door all the way up and go to this window trim. But the glass, dashboard, because it's a model kit, it's not a real car. All that stuff is in the way here. So I would have had to come out quite a bit. And then cutting that curve was going to be hard. So I'm just cutting straight over. I think it's going to look all right. I never thought about the hinges with the pins, but I guess they could. Oh, Bryce is here. How you doing, Bryce? Yes, I got all the goodies. Bryce sent me a whole bunch of cool stuff to check out from Model Maker's Workshop. In today's video that went out this morning was a 3D engine, twin Allen turbocharged engine, twin turbo. And this is the small block Ford kit from Model Maker's Workshop, and then the expansion kit is the twin Allen twin turbo. Pretty cool, pretty interesting engine. I think that's going to look really cool in this car with the flip top on it. So that all fit in there really nice. It took a little bit of work. I don't have a link in the description right now for Model Maker's Workshop because I just kind of last minute decided to do this show, but I'll put a link in there. And all my other videos, any of my videos has a link, and you can get 10% off using, what is it? MBIR10 is a discount code. You get 10% off. So anyways, he sent me a whole box of goodies. So I plan on doing a video here real shortly on that. So stay tuned, and all kinds of stuff. Alrighty, so let's get back to cutting here. I also did a lot of hacking, or not hacking, but this grill did not fit. Hey John, how you doing? When I put this bumper first up and grill, it really stood out almost like that. So I did a lot of filing and trimming and tucking and stuff and got that to where it now kind of fits in there pretty good. Just recesses in there a lot nicer now. So once again, modifications were done there. I had to shave a lot here inside the bumpers. I carved and shaved these corners to let them tuck in. And it was the same with the hinges. I didn't have much travel with these hinges at first because once they bottomed out against the bottom of the bumper, that stops the flip. So I've got little grooves. I don't know if you could see. Little grooves in that bumper that just gave that flip. That's going to be the stop for the flip, and I got it tuned just right where that flip's going to be up at least 45, 50 degrees. Okay, so I've been avoiding it long enough. I already started this cutting before the show, but I need to get back into that cutting. So I'm scribing, and using this flashlight. I don't know if you could see. The camera's not picking it up real good. There you go. You can kind of see along that door line there. You can see where I've cut already. So that's kind of the way you see how you're coming. See there, that top of that fender. You can see that light in between the marker marks. So that's almost cut through, or at least pretty thin. And on the inside, I'm using occasionally, depending on where it is, but there are some thick areas of the model kit, so I'm using my Dremel with a little bit here. And just getting in there and grinding and thinning this out a little bit. Hey, Bill, how you doing? Yeah, Ford engine for a Ford car. Who would have thought? Okay, scribing. Get my microphone there. Okay. All right, so I'll look over at the comments here occasionally, but right now I got to concentrate on my scribes. Because you don't want to get out those grooves and put some big gouges in your body, because then you got to fix that before you can go into any kind of paint. Okay, I'm going to stall a little bit longer. I want to know what you guys thought of that paint scheme. What are your opinions there? That was the first off. I described to ChatGPT what I wanted, and its first rendering was this, and I stopped right there. It was just like perfect, because I told it to go pearl white in the front, fading to a pearl orange midway through the car. So that part I already knew what it was going to look like, because that's what I told it to do. And then I said, make a menace graphic, the word menace. But it surprised me and did those tribal flames. So really, really cool. Good. Now somewhere, I don't know if you guys saw my video this morning, but I'm going to print and do my own decals. But here's a paper one that I just cut out before I actually printed my water slide decals. Well, let me get you back on the screen here. Hang on. So I'm going to be printing on white paper, which means that I'm going to have to cut real close with my X-Acto blade to the edges there. And again, white on the front of the truck. And I was going to use clear, because clear decals work really good on white. But I am fading to orange here. And I was afraid the colors are really translucent if you don't go on a white decal. If you go on a clear decal, even though orange is still a fairly bright color, wherever the orange was, there'd be no white. Even this M would be partially orange, which I think would have looked cool. But just to be safe, I'm using white decals. Jet. Yeah, AI might be pure evil, I don't know. I'm just using it to build model cars, so I don't think it could be too evil. Now, I did get a quote from STS Decals. I sent him this design. It took 3 days to get a quote. I just got the quote back. $15 for the decal, which isn't horrible. And he does print with white in the decal, so they're going to be nice professional decals. $15 plus $6.50 for regular mail, and I think it was $12 for expedited mail, but it was a minimum lead time of 12 weeks. So 3 months. So I'm going to do my own. In fact, I printed them out here. I'll be right back. I'll show you. Okay, so I printed out 3 sets. So this is going to give me three chances to get it right. And I have done these decals before. Not these decals, but I have done decals before. Now you got to seal this, because this is on white decal paper, special decal paper, but with an inkjet printer. So if I put these in water, that ink is going to run. So I need to seal this. And they recommend like an acrylic or a lacquer, clear paint can kind of coverage or whatever. But I've tried that, and it's just way too thick of a film. It definitely seals it in, but then it's too thick of a decal. And I want to clear over and make it look like it was painted on. I want it to look like that car was custom painted. So I'm going to use MCW's clear, 2K clear, and just shoot that 2 coats with an airbrush and let that cure for a few days. Of course, I got a long ways to go before I'm ready to install these anyways, but so that should seal them up really good. I could use the Kaleido varnish, Kevin. The only thing is they're water based. I thought maybe the 2K might be the safer way to start out, but I probably could. Hi Tiffany, how you doing? That's my pretty little daughter there. Not so little, not so young anymore. Alrighty. Okay. You see, I keep trying to get out of this cutting. All right, let's just plug away and cut and cut and cut. I'm definitely gonna have to file this. You know, when we're done, it's gonna be kind of rough. So I'm just running my scriber tool over and over and over. Kind of staying in that groove, try not to slide off and gouge. So this is a 0.2 millimeter scriber. That's what I normally do my door gaps with, so it's the thinnest one I have. All right, get my flashlight out. Okay, so I'm having a little trouble seeing through there. It's kind of thick. So what I did is I already marked with a little bit of a pen here where basically I'm scribing. Turn my flashlight off. So what I'm going to do is take my Dremel tool. I'm going to make a little noise here. Aw, thanks, Tiff. So what's the weather like in Montana today, Tiff? We're kind of chilly. All right. So what I'm doing is I just kind of have like a knurling bit on here. And right where my magic mark is essentially where I'm scribing on the outside. So I'm just thinning this material. That's just going to make that scribing a little easier. Kind of sounds like getting your teeth drilled, huh? All right, don't want to get too carried away. Low 60s. Okay, so that's pretty much the same weather we got, Tiff. How about that? We were 90 the other day for 2 days. All right. "33 people in the room. Okay, so I still got a ways to go. Right here is right along that door gap. So of course when this fender is off, there's going to be nothing behind here, so I'm going to have to build like a faux inner panel, like where the door hinges would be. You know, the firewall, I do have a firewall that comes with the kit, but I'm going to have to simulate what's behind the outside sheet metal everywhere else. And I'll just use sheet styrene for that. Okay. What's like your colonoscopy, John? Colonoscopy is not pleasant. Alrighty. I'm due. So I was kind of nervous about this project, you know, because right up front I kind of announced that I was going to do a flip nose, and I never have done one before. But when I engineered that hinge last night and seen how that's all going to work, and I reinforced everything too. In fact, like here, not only is that glued in, but I actually drilled, pinned, and glued pins in there. So this has added shear strength, all kinds of extra strength, because, you know, manipulating that whole front nose and that hood, I didn't want to be at a show and one of these breaking off or whatever. So, and then in the back here, this is the gap that I had to move. I had to cut my chassis in half. Where's the back? To get the tub lined up in the back, and then to get the wheels in the front centered, I had to cut this chassis and go forward. So this is 1/8 styrene, and that just is going to fit perfect. And when that's all repainted matte black, you'll never see that seam. It'll be nice. I'm really having fun. It's creative juices are flowing on this one. I hope it comes out as good as the plan is. But one of the reasons I knew I went live tonight is this is kind of long and tedious. So it's nice to have some company. Appreciate you guys joining me. Boston Buds, welcome to the show. Love you, Tiff. See you later. Bye. I definitely have to get used to the idea, though. If you watch my videos, you know how I like to start off with a paint job. Like the first thing I do, because it motivates me to see that pretty paint job. It motivates me to finish the build. Well, obviously you can't paint if you're going to be doing all this stuff, so it's a change for me. But I'm kind of enjoying the fact that I'm making that just a weekly little updates on this, because this is that I was just talking about it on my lives, that I really wanted to do something insane and fully detailed. And my channel, you got to keep content going. Well, I thought, well, okay, let's do that, and let's just do a weekly update. Let's keep it about half hour, 40 minutes tops. And, I don't care if it takes 10 episodes to build the car, or 20. I'm hoping to have this done before the next shows come up, but they're like September, at least August, if not September. So I know I'll be done by then. See, I just went out of my groove, so now I gotta like sand out a nice big scratch there. Well, won't be building everything before painting, Kevin, but you know the drill. A lot of fab, because there's a lot of mock-ups. I mean, I've had the interior and chassis in this thing about 50 times, because not only am I fitting a different model's chassis into this car, I'm also using different wheels and tires that don't come with the kit. I'm using an engine that doesn't come with either one of the kits. So nothing's plug and play. That stuff just is not going to fit. Okay, I've actually popped through there. I don't know if you can see. Right there, you can just see the lightest, penetration there I went through. So progress. Yeah, Kevin, building for the camera, it is indeed a challenge. Including the video for this car. I was working away, and then I looked back and like, oops, I wasn't in frame. Luckily, there's usually two sides to the car, so like when I shot the first half, I was like, well, that's a lot of frame. Well, I get another opportunity to do the other half yet, so. Okay, and I'm starting to come through here. Ow, scratched again. Yeah, you could do a lot of still shots too. I mean, a lot of creators do that. I've done it on some stuff where I did screw up the camera work so bad. In fact, I'm going to have to, well, this here stream records, but if I'm doing this on the live, I can't be filming on my phone and saving to my phone for my video of the car. So part of this here, what I'm going to have to do is get my video from this live stream. Just kind of crop in a little bit. what I'm kind of doing is just, I'm kind of dancing all over this thing because I don't want like one side to be totally cut and free and hanging and flopping while I have not done much cutting on the other side. So if I keep things kind of cutting equally throughout the build, it shouldn't be flopping off like that. I do have a little saw blade, but it's kind of flimsy because it's so thin, which is good. It's designed to be thin, but it's kind of getting all bent up there. So I think I'm just going to keep on scribing. I may use it a little bit in the end. There, Ron. I appreciate your advice. You give me a lot of advice. It was a pleasure meeting you at NNL East. Sometimes I gotta just find my way too, you know. I have my own process sometimes. But dummy me glued the back of this hood on, and that's where it's going to separate. I should have glued the sides like I did. In fact, I reinforced it on both sides, but I did glue here. So I'm going to have to cut through that too. You bring up dental floss. Now, I watched Doug White, Model Car Muse. And he used like a boxing string. He called it sailing string, I think it was. And it was kind of like flossing. He just kind of flossed and sawed his way through. Kind of interesting. Okay, I need to just gonna rock my X-Acto knife on this thicker profile because these two cuts got to line up. So I am through in a little bit of an area. Let me try my scalpel blade here. What I do is, instead of sawing back and forth, them knives are pretty sharp. I can kind of just rock it a little bit with a little bit of pressure. Where I'm almost through. And I can tell here, there's quite a bit of thickness right here that I have to thin out. So I'm going to get my Dremel. I cut myself earlier with the X-Acto knife. But it was a stupid one. It fell off my bench and I tried to grab it. Damn it. So I wanted these lights So this is a USB chargeable light, but now it needs a charge, so I can't change the batteries real quick. I just got to charge it. So hang on, I'm going to plug that in. Be right back. Gotta connect my USB charger. Ow. Wrong kind. My workbench is a disaster because I'm working on the Galaxy project. I'm working on the Falcon project, which means that I've got the Nova kit out. Okay, flashlight's charging. Hello, one also. You're definitely welcome. Definitely room for you. Okay, so I can't shine my light in there, but I can feel. I know where I got to do that. Okay, so I'll get my Dremel out here and thin that out a little. Okay, sometimes I can't talk while I'm doing some of that stuff. Yeah, that was terrible news about Kyle Busch, man. Jeez. And what's really weird is on the news today, he just won a race. And the interviewer asked him, you know, how can you, how could you remain so enthusiastic about racing after all this time? And his answer, which was very creepy, ominous, he says, "Well, you never know when you're going to have your last race." What an answer! Because yeah, you know, he didn't know. He did not know that was his last race. So life is precious. You gotta live for today. They didn't say what he died of. I heard that he had some kind of sinus infection. I never heard of anybody dying from a sinus infection, but then I heard today that he was in a race car simulator and became unresponsive. So he must have been feeling kind of bad and just trying to plug away, like, you know, like a lot of us do. Like I used to go to work when I was sick. I mean, the sad part there is that he was young, but going quick, that part I hope happens to me. Not today, but so I'm just taking my time. I'm sure I could probably do this quicker if I was concentrating 100% on it, but it's not going to gain me that much time. Okay, we're through there pretty good. I'm trying to keep that gap nice and clean because, yeah, I will have to file a little bit, but I don't want it to be a major gap because if I display it with the nose open, it won't matter because you're not going to see the gap. But I might want to display it with the nose or the front end down. Probably won't. I mean, if I'm going to go to all this trouble, I'm probably going to display it with the hood tilted forward. I suppose it could be the G-forces. Never really heard of that either. One thing's for sure, the man lived. He got to live a very exciting life. There was a time where I really didn't like him. I thought he was just cocky, but then again, if you're that good. But see, I wasn't a fan of Dale Earnhardt either. I respected him. I thought he was a master, the way he drove that car, and a master that he could take the air off and wreck somebody, but that's what I didn't like about him. It was like, okay, so you know how to mess up the air to spin somebody out, but you're being a jerk. Pass them, block them, but wrecking people just to keep them from winning, that's what I didn't like about Earnhardt. I'm probably going to get myself in trouble there because that's almost like talking politics. If you start talking NASCAR drivers. All right, let's see. Where is that little blade? Oh. I'm using this little saw blade now that I'm through in places. Just very carefully getting through some of the corners. Okay. Yeah, you don't have to be a fan, but you got to admit, I mean, the guy won how many? One of the best winning racers there was out there, so got to give him kudos. See, my all-time favorite guy in modern day, of course it's not modern day anymore, was Jeff Gordon. He came in and kicked ass right from the get-go, him and Ray Evernham. But yet he remained a pretty nice guy. I don't think he was cocky. That's when you know you're getting old, though. When Jeff Gordon was his rookie year, and I picked him like, yeah, that guy's going to go somewhere. And he did. And now he's retired. So you've seen his whole racing career come and go. What I'm trying to do here is just get enough cut space here to get my little saw in here. But see, I'm rocking back and forth and cutting through too. That keeps you almost your cleanest line. Okay. Oh, Wallace. Yeah, boy, that ain't too good. Coughing up blood is not good. Ooh, I'm just about through here finally. All right. Don't want to go too far, so I'll finish with my blade. I'm so close, but I don't want to cut beyond that 90, so I'm just gonna carefully rock that blade. Okay. I got it. I didn't go through the wheel well here, so I need to do that. I need to make a cut right through here. Davey Allison, now you're talking Steven. Yep, I was a big Davey Allison fan. So sad when he had that helicopter crash. That was another very respectable man. He wasn't cocky at all. He was raised right, you know. All right, so I am through completely here. I just got to get through this top of this fender some more. Yeah, Bill, Jeff Gordon, he was a good guy. A lot of people hated him. I don't know why. I guess everybody's, you know, you got your favorite, and I thought his car always looked pretty cool too. The colors on the Jeff Gordon car, DuPont. If I ever do build a NASCAR, that's probably what I would build. Sorry it's going so slow there, folks. But I don't want to hack this up and throw this away. I've got too much time and effort invested into this. All right, so Buddy Baker, yep. He was a nice guy too. Big guy. He was a good announcer too. After he retired. So I got this little saw blade from MCV, Matt at MCV. All right. Almost. Carlos, how you doing? Well, I appreciate you coming by. Bowling, huh? I haven't done that in years. I'll imagine that's gotten expensive too. All right. I am so close. All right. Hey, Sean, how you doing? Welcome. Stand on. I got my stand by. I got my flashlight on a charger, but yet I need to use it, so I got to unravel this cord here. Okay, I don't know if you could see that. I mean, sometimes the light's a little overpowering, but at top of that fender there. Just about there. Pretty meaty. So right there where I put my dash mark, kind of fat right there. So I'm going to hog that out a little bit with my Dremel. See you, John. Appreciate you tuning in. Just gotta be careful not to overdo it. This is my first time ever really doing this. All right, so back to scribing. Hey, Edward, welcome. Doing good. We got 48 people watching currently. Not bad for, you know, I mean, I've seen people do their full-on production live streams with guests without that kind of viewership. And this is just a build session. So I'm honored that you guys are here with me. All right, got that one cut. All right, almost there, almost there. Stubborn, still kind of thick in that area. What's up, Trav Dog? Welcome. You know that show I went to the other day in New Stanton, PA? It was that small show where I won my first place for my Camaro. You know what? I mean, for a small show, it was the most expensive show that I've been to. It was $5 admission and $2 for each car. So I had 10 cars. So that was $25 just to get in. Okay. The drive was all Pennsylvania Turnpike. It was almost $40 in tolls. I just got the statement for that. I have that Easy Pass, so it's a discount a bit, but almost $40 in tolls and $25 to get in. So that's $65 just to go to a model show. And of course, I bought a couple kits too, but you know, I won't include that in that. Okay, I am so close. I am so close. I just need to get my saw blade in there. No blood yet, Leadhead. No blood yet. Okay. I gotta be careful the way I'm grabbing it because I feel things flexing. There we go. Finally got that bit in there. Now I can take this right up to this hood. I think it's easier to open doors because you got your scribe lines for, you know, your door gaps already there. But in this case, I'm having to freehand across smooth body with my cuts. So it's a little unnerving at the same time because more can go wrong. All right. So I believe I am free here. No, I still got one stubborn little spot there. Yep, there we go. Got it. Hopefully I didn't just slice the body. Pull this tape off and see. Yeah, every hobby has got an expense, whether you're golfing, whether you're model railroad, whether it's RC cars. Actually, model building still, probably in my opinion, is a cheaper hobby, unless you want to take up knitting. I'll have to have Debbie chime in on that. Okay. So I got some scratches, but they're not too bad. So I am free here. Crash. All right, I am free on this side, so I need to get this side caught up. And once this is all done, then I can break that glue seal on the hood. And we'll be able to call it, so. Yeah, I know. I do cashback, and I do. Well, you know, I mean, I get paid from YouTube. It's not much. I get paid for commissions when I sell Kaleido airbrushes and paints. Not much. I get a little commission from Amazon when people buy the tools and supplies I have links for. So all those are nice little income things, but not much really. But I invest every penny of it back into my videos and the hobby. Because when I retired, I didn't plan on making that money anyways. And I'm having so much fun with the hobby that it's like, I'm just going to fully invest that. Other than, I have to keep my money out for taxes because you are taxed at a higher rate because you got to pay self-employment tax. But then again, you get to write off expenses too. So like when I invest, like the subscriptions for the StreamYard and the software, all that stuff. I even got to write off my computer because I literally did buy that computer just to make my videos better because the old one was so slow and crippled that I bought a Mac. I bought a used Mac, but I was able to write that off and depreciate it, but I got to take that depreciation all in one lump sum. So I didn't have any tax liability from last year's income. I was going to do a video about taxation and making, YouTube as a business, but I really haven't got to that. Okay, good there. Good there. I just got to hog this out a little bit more. Hang on, let me get my light there so I can see exactly where I need to be grinding. But I'm excited about this build. For those of you that just recently joined me and haven't seen it yet, this is the rendition that I came up with. I, using ChatGPT, kind of designed this. So I'm going to be doing a fade paint job in pearls, pearl white, pearl orange, and I'm printing my own decals. On the front nose here, this is the mechanism. I had to modify all this to make the engine fit. Now I have a hinge and a tube in here for my front bumper. Get that installed. So once this all is in there, this would be glued to the front of the car. So now it hinges. So my tilt would be that far. So essentially it's tilting like that. That's perfect. That's going to be a nice looking thing. You'll be able to see the engine really well. So I'm excited. And that came easier than I really expected. The only mistake I did is I glued my tube in first. I should have made the rods too first, so I could have got a better 90-degree cut and measured that better. But I glued that rod in, and that's permanent. That was using this E6000 glue. And if anybody hasn't seen it yet, this is the engine. Twin turbo. See you, Carlos. Have fun. Bull 300. Okay, so I just got a little bit more to go here. Almost the way I did my rust holes in my car, grinding out from the inside. So I don't know if anybody's been following Tim Shield's new YouTube channel, young man, and he does a live on Friday nights, a little bit later in the evening. He's someplace in the Midwest, I think it is, so his show comes on 10 o'clock Eastern time, and he's doing a live, but he invited me to be guest next Friday nights, and I accepted, so you know, anytime you get some young people excited about the hobby, and he's a really enthusiastic young man, just kind of, you know, he's new channel, but I think he's kind of a new builder too. I know he just started, he just did his first paint job with an airbrush, but I'm rooting him on. I was honored, you know. Young guy asking old grandpa here to be on his show. All right. Well, thanks, Boston Buds. 46 people. You know, when I had my live shows, I had like 70 to 80 at times. I was really honored. Then afterwards, looking at the analytics, I actually, during my show, like a 90-minute show, I had like 300 views because not everybody stayed tuned. People tuned in and out. You know, so kind of, you know, so when you see that fluctuation of people watching, it's because there's people coming and going. Somebody leaves, somebody new joins in late. But I have fun. This way I can talk to you guys a lot easier than when I had my show. I still have my show. I just taken a summer off. I plan on being back. I'm grabbing a piping hot wheel at a major chain pizza joint. Any guesses? Winner gets a Secret Santa gift. Oh, nope. Can't guess. All right. So I'm really getting close here. See if I can break through. Oh yeah. This is going to be a really cool Falcon, though. I always liked the Falcon. I mean, they're just very wimpy cars, unless you had the Sprint with the, what was it, 260 V8, I think was the most powerful that these things came in the early 60s. And those are cool cars, the little V8 with a 4-speed. But what I'm doing to this car, compared to the box art, where is the box art? Now that's just a wimpy looking little car, and the tires are in the box. They're just so tiny and thin. But not mine. I'm going to have these big fat wheels in the back. All right. Once I get this flip nose opened up in that, file that down and stuff, then I'm ready to, then I can go to prime and paint, which I've been really looking forward to doing. I still got to seal those decals. All right, finally, there we go. We broke through. Nice, nice, nice. All right. Very close. You don't need a steering box, Chet. Don't need gasoline, don't need a steering box. All you need is the illusion. Those were some famous words that my guest Matt Miscu had said when he was my guest on the live stream. Because his detail under the hood was incredible, but he kept using the word that he was the illusion, the illusion, the illusion instead of whatever. And that's kind of what I did with this engine. There was no place to put a distributor. The regular small block 3D engine has a place to put a distributor, but I still managed to just fit one in. I just glued it way up there right in front of the intake, but it's all hidden by the intake there. So it gives the illusion that it has a distributor. Thank you, Scooter. Yeah, you know, I mean, I got so inspired by the shows. You go to those shows and you see what other people are doing. And I'm new yet, you know, I mean, I'm still brand new builder, basically. What, 15 months I've been building. But I'd like to think I get a little bit better with each one. Okay, we're through, we're through. I'm down to this top section. Yeah, the Band-Aid is I poked myself. I could probably come off now. So I poked myself right there. It was bleeding like crazy there for a few minutes. All right, I just got this cut to make, and then I can cut my hood back open. Because I'm anxious to see just how clean or dirty this whole hack job is. I already know I'm going to have some sanding, and probably a couple bouts with primer, because I did, a couple times slid off with my knife, and that puts a nice little groove in your nice, pretty, smooth body. All right, that's some stubbornly thick stuff. Flashlight. My chair was squeaking so bad, and it was getting worse and worse and worse. And when I was editing my last video that published this morning, that's all you can hear was my chair. I took it all apart, never could find exactly what was squeaking, but I put grease on every single bolt. But I just felt part of my chair kind of collapse on me here, so I'm not sure. Something might have come loose. The bolts, they had Loctite on them, and now I put grease on them. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Okay, so a little more hogging. Come on, baby. Get a little tired of cutting here, but almost there, as you can see that light coming through. Alrighty. Alright. See, I was originally going to cut all the way up here with the door line and around this windshield trim, because that would have looked the most natural, and then along this line here for the fender. And that would have looked really nice, but I got to thinking about it, and I put the windshield and dashboard and everything in, and all that hardware sticks out quite a bit, and that would have been hard to hide all that. So that's what forced me to kind of go to this area here. But I think once it's all filed down smooth, a nice paint job on there and stuff. I mean, I looked at a bunch of reference pictures for tilt cars because people cut them at different places. Come on. It's the most stubborn area, but it's kind of a thick area there, you know, where the top of the car and the side of the car meet. All right, finally broke through that fat area. Whew. All right, that's good. Now I got to cut the other way. All right, almost. I keep saying that, I know. Stubborn. All right. Okay, we are free there. Now, had I not glued that hood together, I'd be free there. So I just got to cut that blue there. That's UV glue there. I'm really liking that UV glue. I'm finding the bond is incredible. It's replacing CA glue on a lot of stuff that I relied on. See, that bond is amazingly strong. Oh, okay, I'm still not free over here. How can that be? This is the one that makes me nervous about cutting myself. There we go. All right. It's got a flip front end, but the wrong way. Oh, I should have done that, huh? You don't see that. All right. All right, there we go. Now we got lots of filing. But what I want to do is test it. Okay, dashboard. You got to stay in there, dashboard. Got to tape you down. So you have to get everything in there, the interior, the dashboard, and all that stuff. Okay, then so I gotta tape that grill on. Thanks, Ron. Yeah, I don't smoke anymore, but an adult beverage would be nice. All right, hold on. Let me get this grill into place. Since everything operates from the grill and the bumper, I got to get that secured real good, but I don't want to glue it into place yet because I got to paint the car, I got to detail the grill, and you can't have both of those together at the same time. I do hate mock-ups, though. All right, now let's see if we get that in. See, it'll work better when that grill is glued to the flip nose. There you go. Yeah, close but no cigar, because I don't smoke. All right. It's kind of hard to prove it right now because everything's floppy here. I don't have that chassis glued in. I don't have that bumper glued in. But it's adjustable with those two wires up front here. So I can tweak my fitment when everything's glued and secured. I can tweak those little rods if I need to. Yeah, doggone and glue. Just, I don't want to glue that. Try one more time. I'm gonna have to re-bare metal foil though, because all that bare metal foil was before the paint. But I've handled this so much, and this tape I'm using right now is undoubtedly gonna take those Ford letters off the hood. I want a more secure fitment here to test this. Because it worked before I cut it. And it was all installed, so it should, in theory, still all hold. I cannot get that bumper to stay. It's going to work, folks. So essentially it'll look like that. And I'll probably stage it like that. You know, I mean, I don't need it to open and close. Yeah, well, I've been cutting on this for, well, since we've been live. I'm not sure that was at 6:30, almost 2 hours. Plus, I started that day before I went live. All right, so we just got to clean up all this, and I got to thin that too. That's a little too thick for scale sheet metal. So I'm going to have to get in here and file that profile down. That looks just like my sanding stick. That's my styrene. That's my sanding stick. So, you know, now we need to thin out this plastic so that it looks scale for sheet metal. So rather than sanding in one spot, I'm kind of almost like I'm block sanding, reversing my direction. get that thickness less. So yeah, it's a lot better right there on the side. Look at that thickness there versus there. Yeah, you know, I haven't had any luck with the white glue. I've seen, who is it? James Chester has done complete model kit mock-ups with white glue. But I'll glue it. And I tried both things. One probably was being impatient and not letting it cure enough. But then I even let that glue hold up overnight. But it didn't really bond to it, so it just immediately just peeled off. Now, if I use my UV resin and a light and just spotted it, it might work. Because I tried gluing with my UV resin and it wasn't very durable. But then I bought this UV glue, which is a game changer as far as bonding strength goes. So if I use my UV resin with a toothpick and just put a little dot on there, I can probably just tack it into place. But I might as well do some sanding here, because I know it's going to work. I was just wanting to demonstrate to you guys. So I did cut out the hood because that twin turbo did sit just a slight bit high in the end anyways. It was awfully close. I could have probably made it work without a hood scoop, but if you're going to go to this extreme, you got to have a hood scoop on your car. I can cut these hinges off. We don't need those, right? All right, so yeah, well, you know what though? When I looked at some real photos, there were some people that use sheet metal on the real cars. But yes, they primarily were fiberglass. But the people did sheet metal. They just hollowed everything out and they built like that little tiny aluminum frame to kind of hold it all together. So I got a little assortment of files, but I like this one here. It's got a flat on one end and a little radius. So it's great for right around these corners here. So the two biggest things I was worried about on this entire build was making this cut off in the front end work and the decals. So I think we got this one tackled, and I have done decals before, so I think I'm going to be okay there. For those of you that just tuned in on the decals, let me go back and show you again my design. So I walked ChatGPT through my design, and I told it the colors, I told it Menace, I pretty much everything except for it added on its own those little tribal flames. So I actually did print those out, and I'm going to make my own decals. But I had STS Decals quote me. He finally got back to me after 3 days, but it's $15 plus $6.50 unless I want expedited shipping, and then it's like $10. But he's got a minimum of 12-week lead time before he even would begin to build them. somewhere in that 12 weeks, he'll do the design and have you sign off on that. But I don't want to wait 3 months on this project. So I'll do my own, and if they look like crap, then I'll just not clear coat for now, so I can remove them later and put his on if I decide to. So who wants to go in with me and let's buy a professional printer that has white ink? And then if anybody's a good little graphic artist or whatever, we can go in our own little business here. Because I think there's a lot more work. You know, I don't think STS can keep up with the demand. Of their stuff, you know, because the word got out that their quality is outstanding. That's why I contacted them. Yeah, so this is not too hard either, you know, kind of sanding to thin out that, to make it look more like sheet metal. Just on the edge. I keep picking up that styrene thinking it's my sanding stick. Well, that's what I mean. Let's go in. Okay, you put 5 down. Kevin put 5 down. I put 1 down. Get a few more people. Put 4 down. It would be nice to have reliable decals, though. You know, I mean, it's hit and miss. Some of my decals have gone on great, like my 67 Olds 442 that I did in butternut yellow. That has this really tiny little pinstripe decal that runs body length. And that laid on like gold. But yet, I've added other cars and stripes where they were just disasters. So it all comes down to the quality. They're just not consistent. But there's 2 problems for me. Sometimes it's... Uh-oh. I see a problem going on here. I'm going to have to reinforce this better. I wanted that to stay glued. Yeah, okay. I got to do an emergency repair job here because I want these fenders to stay aligned, and they're coming off. So, okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fill up a cap. With my resin glue. Okay, then. I gotta make sure that grill and bumper aren't gonna interfere with this. And it will. All right. Good thing I checked. So I'm going to wipe away some of this here. Okay, so I'm kind of reinforcing that with UV glue. Hey, Slugo, how you doing? I'm just going to make sure that I keep my alignment. I'm afraid I lost my doggone alignment here. Okay, then I'm going to get some over on this other side. Good to hear, Slugo. Good to hear. I should have got my bigger light out. I Just, I can cure the whole thing all in one swift light. All right. Make sure my grill still fits. There we go. Phew. Actually, that alignment went away on... Darn it. Oh. See, this happens all the time. But on my videos, you don't see it because I edit it out. Golly. Anyways, what I was about to say is I now have a friction fit with my hood. Okay, so let me test fit this again. I could see I'm going to have to put some kind of alignment gizmos there so that these fenders don't fold in on me there. It's probably never going to pose really good shut, but we'll see. We'll see how good I could dress that up. But I think my intention is going to be that if you went through all the trouble to do this, that I would really want to display it like this anyways. I think that's the way to go. I mean, it can be closed up, like if I want to put it in a box and take it to a show. But it's going to need alignment pins. See how that just folded in there? I mean, if you manipulate it and push everything back and squeeze everything back. Oh, I forgot the chassis. Oh, the chassis is not even lined up right here. This mock-up stuff is... My chassis slid forward, so I was wondering why things were so far off all of a sudden. Come on. All right, there we go. Okay, so that is back now. Yeah, I mean, you have to manipulate it really good when it's all closed up there. So I'm not going to do that. I will put some magnets in there for sure, Kevin, but that's not really the problem right now. And the small magnets aren't going to be strong enough to pull those parts. So I need like an alignment thing so that can't slide inside. But my problem was my chassis. slid on me, and of course that front bumper is not properly attached. So I don't think it's going to be all that pretty. I mean, it might look better when it's all cleaned up, but do you guys agree with me? If you're going to go to all this trouble, I might just put it in a box like this, but this is... I mean, it's hinging real nice. I don't have to worry about that forward motion that everybody was talking about. But I think that's going to look cool. That's the way to do it. Alright, so I now have to build from the firewall over. I'm going to take some styrene rod here, make it look like roll bar material, and I'm going to, you know, glue this dashboard, or I don't even have the firewall in there yet. Go get the firewall. Okay, so, you know, I have to take some styrene and make a faux side here. And then get that firewall in place. And I'm going to do a rod coming from the firewall to the shock tower. And I'm going to take one down and angle it down to give it a frame. And I think that'll look good. Okay, so it fit on my test fits very good. But I regret I started playing around with this and the fenders started twisting. I just didn't have them reinforced enough. But luckily they're easy enough to reline up here. And I wish I could glue that in, but you know, I got to get my paint job inside done, outside done. Got to detail out the whole grill yet before I can glue that in. But once that's glued as a solid piece, this will stay nice and strong and aligned, and I'll have no problem. You know, got my hinge back here. Put flat styrene inside fender, sticking up just enough to overlap fenders when they close. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking of. Yeah, just an alignment. Absolutely. Okay. Well, next Friday's video is gonna show pretty much how all this was done and all the mods that I had to do up front here. And then I'm gonna be going into primer, first coat of primer and whatnot. So this will be next Friday's show. So you guys kind of got a whole sneak peek there. I might even get a little further than just the primer. We'll see. Okay, well, it was fun. I had to hold my breath a whole bunch of times. Yeah, Bill, yeah, evergreen tabs to make alignment, absolutely. Plus, I have not, you know, I have to do this little evergreen around here, too, to hide all, you know, hide the interior tub, you know, because you're not supposed to cut this off. So that'll also give me an alignment because that'll be, you know, shaped and smoothed out. So I need to run out to maybe Hobby Lobby tomorrow and get some thinner stuff dough. I've got like 30,000 thick. I think 15 or 20,000 to be more pliable to do all that bending and stuff. So Okay, for the first time I ever hacked a model in half, I hacked it in half. I think it's going to be okay. And for anybody late to this show, on the tub that I was working on, I decided to sand it down one more time. I drilled a bunch of holes. I'm going to put these little pins in to give it the appearance of like carriage bolts, and then repaint that stainless again. So, yes, who said that? Yeah, Bill. Yeah, I'll be putting styrene on the edges of the firewall. Yeah, because you have to. Even if I don't need it for alignment, I need it to look real. Like where's the door hinges and stuff, so I have to make fake door hinges or give the illusion that there's door hinges, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It just needs a lot of doctoring up. But at this point, I'm not all that convinced that it's going to look really nice. Let me take that bumper off. I'm not sure it's ever going to look really nice in the closed position, because I think the gaps are going to be too much. But once it's all cleaned up too, it's hard to tell right now with all the markings I got there. That I mean, that doesn't look too bad. It looks like it lines up pretty good. It just needs all that fine tuning and tweaking after I'm able to start gluing the body and gluing things together. And we're trying to show you, well, everything is loose is not working too well. Alrighty, guys. I really appreciate it. Yeah, Boston Buds, I sorted those pins out a lot. And at first I picked a nicer, bigger dome, but then they did not look scale to me. So I went for these finer tips. And they're going to look better once all the lines and markings and everything else are gone again. They'll look good. Worst case too is what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint that, and then put the pins in, so it's a contrasting look. Like the bolts are different, but camouflage it a little bit more if I put the bolts in and paint the whole thing together. You bet, Slugo. It was a pleasure, and I thank you guys for watching. Hope everybody has a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. God bless all those who gave their lives protecting our country, which is what Memorial Day is all about, so let's not forget that. I guess tomorrow I'll go out to Mom and Dad's gravesite, and Dad's a veteran, so there'll be a flag on his thing, and I'll get some mulch down and flowers and go say hi to him. So y'all take care. I really appreciate you watching. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. So until next time, now next week, next Friday night, about 10 o'clock p.m., I believe it is, Eastern time, I'm going to be a guest on Tim Schild's YouTube channel, and he does a live on Friday nights. In fact, he's got one coming up here in about an hour and a half, or hour and 15 minutes. So, okay, enjoy your holiday, people, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.